Okay, so the motivation for useLoading, I'm just gonna talk a little bit about the app that I'm working on. It's a to-do app that is backed by a backend, FaunaDB, and essentially, it's a to-do app. You load stuff and then it shows a list, and then you modify that list. But just the modification of that list, I found it a very interesting use case for this hook. And it shows the power, I guess, of being able to compose these things just as simple functions. So in here, what I have is it hits the back end, right? And it takes a while to hit that. And so if I reload, you can see that there's an empty state there where I'm showing as though I have no um, I have no lists when actually I do have lists, and then it updates once the promise resolves. So how that looks uh, in the back is that you have this sort of get server lists function, and it's a whole bunch of promises, and then it just takes a while to resolve. Um, and we sort of call that whenever we confirm that we're logged in. Um, and and so I mean that's not a great user experience. And obviously this is what React Suspense is meant to do, right? It's supposed to help you have more intentional states around what you show. However, we don't have React Suspense yet. And also, like, there's a whole bunch of things that you use promises for that are um, not just loading data, right? So I wanted a generic solution just for any just like wrapping loading states. Um, and I came up with this. It's a pretty simple function. It has an internal sort of Boolean state of where this stuff is loading. And then and outputs a function called load, which takes a promise and then just sets true is loading and then sets false once the promise is done, right? So it kind of wraps the start and end of a promise. And that's the rough idea behind it. Um, so, so how you sort of use it is you just import is useLoading, and then you um, actually use it. You use useLoading, and you take that load function and you take this promise and you sort of wrap around it, and that's it, I think. So this load function is now watching this promise, right? And this is loading thing. I can export it all the way at the bottom, export it. So now this custom hook has a loading state that's attached to any work that it's doing, for example, this list. And I can use that loading state for anything. So for example, here I have it passed, I have this custom hook passed into a context, and then I pull it out of the context all the way here. So pull it. So it's a nice way to combine context and hooks. So now I have my isLoading function, and I can say isLoading. If it's loading, show a spinner. If not, show the actual data. And so now when I do a load, um, hmm, it's not. I need to refresh. Yeah, okay, so there's a little flash there, so it's not super obvious. And obviously, but just to make it even more obvious, I'm going to add in a sleep function. So back then, sleep, let's call it 2000. And just to show the sort of drop-in loading feature, and then it loads, right? So this is a very nice, I basically increased my API surface area by one variable, which is it outputs this new thing called isLoading, right? Um, and then I have this function, right, that can just be tacked onto any promise that I'm doing to monitor the start and end of that promise. Um, and then this variable, like I don't use this anywhere. I just re-export it. This variable, it just goes wherever, and you can reflect that in your user interface, and that's a better sort of user experience in my opinion. So yeah, let me know what you think. I think it's a cool book. And it's like, I don't know, it's like 10 lines. It's nice.